Hello everyone. Marti here. This is outside the 21 days, and Lena, you asked about tapping on anger, like to heal anger suppressed and accumulated from holding back and keeping quiet to keep the peace. Oh my God, my favorite topic, honestly. So many of you know, and those of you that don't, so I struggled with an eating disorder for 18 years. And when I stopped practicing my eating disorder, which is how I describe it, I was astonished. I did not have tapping back then. It would have saved me 15 years, I'm sure. And what I noticed is we can use busyness, food, alcohol, sex, anything to suppress emotion. And I literally, this past year, I realized I was using busyness to suppress anxiety. So, but anger is a doozy. And I always say it's what I call a forbidden emotion. And I am finishing my book with edits. So my plan is to have that out after the first of the year. And it is called Forbidden Emotions. And it's all about forbidden emotions, or any emotions that we tell ourselves we shouldn't feel. And any emotion can be a forbidden emotion. Joy can be a forbidden emotion when you find yourself holding back in this joyful outcome in your life because maybe you're talking to a friend who things aren't going well for. So you're like, oh, I'm going to hold back. I often say that anger is much more of a forbidden emotion for women than it is for men. And sadness is more of a forbidden emotion for men than women. It was interesting. I was watching the show This Is Us last night, and the scene really struck me where Randall and Toby were, hey, Julie, we're talking about, one was admitting he has anxiety, one was admitting he has depression, and they were both talking about, oh, we suppress it and the one, Randall says, because that's what we men do. So, and women do it too. So wherever you are suppressing an emotion, telling yourself you shouldn't feel this way, or this is a big one always, you should forgive this person. We try to go to forgiveness way before we're ready to. I did this once because I was in a 12-step group, Overeaters Anonymous, back when I was living in Chicago and dealing with my eating disorder. And it's put your list of people. And one of my siblings used to demand an apology from me, which was always interesting to me because I'm like, and so what I did is I forced myself to do an apology before I was ready. And how you know it's too soon is if you have an expectation of the reaction that you want from someone, and it's not the reaction you get, it's too soon. So my rule of thumb is, try not to force forgiveness before you're ready because it is not authentic. It's not authentic. So this brings me to tapping on anger. So many of you know, and I'm going to drop an F-bomb here, when I got super honest with myself about how I felt about my parents and what my sisters and I experienced, and I had tapping then, my truth just landed for me. And think of honor thy father and mother. You're never supposed to talk this way about your parents. And I was like, I hate those fuckers. I hate them. And when I finally allowed myself to feel that hatred, and I was effing PO'd about the stuff that I experienced, it literally was like, I need to rant tap. So rant tap, it's not a term that I came up, but I did come up with fuck you tapping, because many of you know, it's like when I ask people, if you could say anything to this person, anything, they're never going to hear this. They're not going to be harmed by it, but this is your bottom line, basic self-truth. What would you say to this person? It was astonishing, and still is to me. Everybody says somewhere, I'd say fuck you, or, fuck you bitch, or whatever. Everybody would come up with something like that. And I said, are you okay to tap on that? So we would start tapping. So if you have a problem with that, you probably want to tap on that too, because the problem is so many of us have learned to try to be so appropriate. I've got to be so appropriate, and we're so appropriating ourselves into health issues, into more suppressed emotion, into limiting what's possible for our lives. So rant tapping is my favorite. I cannot tell you how many years, and I say years, I've had to rant, fuck you, tap, and been like, Julie, oh, it's back. Wow, that was so weird. It was like, woohoo, like a rainbow came over. So whatever it is for you, and I say, if you do this in the privacy of your own home, in a safe environment, or with a seasoned practitioner, I have yet to tap this way with someone where they haven't said, oh my God, I feel liberated. I literally feel liberated. And as many of you know, this is repeated. When you allow yourself your anger, when you allow yourself your hatred, when you allow yourself in a safe and healthy way, you are literally releasing poison from your nervous system and your brain, because that feelings aren't buried dead, they're buried alive, and that's when they manifest as health issues. So what is your truth? So here's the way to tap. If there is someone or a situation or a circumstance in your life that if you really allowed yourself to get really truthful with yourself, that you know there's anger there, because we're dealing with anger, what would you say to this person? What would you say about the circumstance? What would you say to the circumstance? What would you say? The unadulterated truth. The unadulterated, like do your best to put, I've got to be appropriate on the shelf. You can pick that up when we're done. So what would you say to them? Would you say, fuck you? Would you say, I hate you? Would you say, and if you feel guilt about saying those things, then you want to tap on the guilt, because then the guilt is the barrier to allowing you to access the anger or maybe even the rage that comes up. And when I stopped practicing my eating disorder, it was freaking rage. It wasn't anger. So think about some person, some circumstance, some situation where you find I'm going to clamp it off. I don't feel safe speaking my truth with this person. And that's usually when you know you're suppressing it. Maybe somebody has completely mistreated you and you're like, and then if you've ever had this, if you're ever dealing with a narcissist, that's an epic journey, because it's like you can actually be treated poorly, but then if you're dealing with a narcissist, they'll literally go, you just treated me like shit. And you talk about a mind mess, you're like, wait, what? What? That where you're like, what? And if that cannot at some point have rage, first of all, it creates confusion, then it can create rage. But then you got to keep your mouth shut, because often when you're dealing with somebody who has at least narcissistic tendencies, they can't own their truth. They're never going to own it. Everybody else is the problem. To me, narcissists are the ultimate victims, because everyone's the problem. They're really good at dishing it out, but when it comes to receiving, say, even constructive criticism, it's very hard for them to take. So you'll notice that. But anytime you feel like, I've got to clamp down on this, I can't speak my truth, or if you're in fear of speaking your truth, if you're in fear. And I always say it this way. The amount of, say, anger and rage that you can feel towards someone is directly proportional to the amount of disempowerment that you feel around that person. I cannot tell you the depths of disempowerment that I have felt at various times in my life. At times in my life, especially, like I said, in Catholic school, I just had to sit there and take it. Whenever I talked back, I just got into more trouble. So at some point, it was like I learned to just sit there and take it. So that's a good way to bring this up. Is there any area in your life where you just sit there and you take it? And you take it, and you take it, and you take it. And do you judge yourself for that? Do you tell yourself you're weak, you're pathetic, you're that highly likely you're doing that? So, but and then the rage starts to bubble up inside, it's that you may learn to suppress it, but somewhere, somehow it leaks out some other way. You get a little too angry at your dog. You get a little too angry at your kid. You get a little too angry at your cat. You think you're calm and peaceful, but then you get two hangers stuck together and you're in a rageful fit. It's a pretty good indicator that you've got some suppressed anger. So rule of thumb for rant tapping is speak your truth, the unadulterated truth. And I'm just going to, just because I think this can be more of a private matter for people, I'm not going to drop a bunch of F-bombs on here, but when I tap with people privately, it's all like all bets are off. We just go for it for people. And there's some people that completely embrace it and are like, oh my God, this is so great. So I highly, highly, highly recommend you get help to do that, or you do it on your own. But you just, if it's fuck you, if it's I hate you, then you want to tap it out. But you would just be like, so let's go with anger. And I'm just going to do anger. Oh my God. I'm so pissed. I am so freaking angry. But I can't say that. I can't tell them I'm angry. Because if I say I'm angry, they get angrier back. So I never get my anger with them. I have to put up and shut up. And I'm so freaking sick and tired of sitting there and taking it. My dog's pissed off too. Oh my God. They suck. And they suck the life out of me. I'm not allowed my anger. They're so offensive. And they have the gall to tell me I'm the problem. Screw them. But I can't say that. I have to act like a lady. I have to be demure. I have to be polite and kind. It's not ladylike to get angry. And it's not spiritual to get angry. I'm supposed to forgive. And I'm supposed to take the high road. But I don't want to take the high road right now. I am so freaking pissed off. And they totally suck. But I can't say that. I'm supposed to be appropriate. But guess what? When I'm by myself, I can let myself have my anger. Screw them. They say I treat them like shit. What a bunch of bullshit. I sit here and take it all the time. God, do I want to tell them that. But I'm not supposed to say that. I'm supposed to be nice and kind and forgiving. But I'm nowhere near forgiveness. Because I've never let myself have my anger. But now I can find a healthy way to get this poison out of my nervous system. To give myself my truth. It's clear they're never going to let me have it. So it's up to me to give it to me. And I'm going to give it to myself right now. And if I start to feel guilty, I can remind myself, they never have to hear this. They never have to be privy to it. But I can just give myself my anger in my own private way. And I can let them have it in private. And I can tell them exactly what I think of them. And how freaking pissed off I am. And how so tired I am of taking it. I just bend over and take it. And that's what I learned to do. And I'm so tired of judging myself for it. So I am giving myself my truth now. And I'm going to give it to myself every day. And if I need to rant tap for the next year, I am totally going to do it. Because I am so committed to freeing myself from this poison. And the more I give myself my anger in a safe and healthy way, the more I'm saying yes to me. And it's time to give myself my yes. I'm so sick and tired of kowtowing to them. So I'm saying yes to my anger. And yes to myself. And I set the intention here and now to give myself my emotions. And the beauty will be, as I allow myself to feel this fully, it starts to dissipate. And I start to feel better. And I learn to empower myself by allowing myself my anger. It's about damn time I let myself feel it. I'm freaking outraged. And I'm tired of turning my anger on myself. So I am just going to set myself free to feel and process my anger in a safe and healthy way for me. And the more I give it to myself, the more I start to stand up straight. And the more I allow myself my voice. Because I'm the only one that can give it to me. And it starts here in private when I allow myself my rage, my outrage, my hatred, my pissed offness. Because by processing through these emotions, I give myself relief. And I set myself free. And if I have to tap on my anger for the next freaking year, I'm going to give it to myself. Because I'm tired of sitting there and take it. And being so appropriate. Oh, that's right, I have to be quiet. Oh, that's right, you don't allow me my anger. Because with you, the best defense is an offense. So I get angry, and you just get angrier. Well, guess what? Go ahead and do it. Because it's clear you're not going to give me the space to have my anger. And I'm going to give it to myself. Because that's the empowering way anyway. So here I am, letting myself have it. And the more I let myself have it, the more and more relief I feel. And the more I feel relief, the freer I feel. And there's nothing wrong with anger. Especially when I give it to myself. Oh, that's awesome, Lena. In a safe and healthy way. So go ahead and make my day. Get angry at me again. Because guess what? In the privacy of my own environment, I'm going to give myself my anger at you. And I am going to set myself free. Oh yeah. And it starts right here and now by saying yes to me. Take a breath. Lena, I'm so glad you found that helpful. I cannot tell you, rant tapping has saved my life Fuck you, tapping has saved my life. I cannot tell you how many times I've hiked. People know this story. The foothills are right behind here. And I would take my dogs and I'm like, oh my God, I'm sure the bears and the coyotes and the rattlesnakes and the bobcats are all like, here comes the crazy woman again. And I highly recommend, if you can physically pace and rant tap while you're rant tapping, it will so help you expel that energy, because it also, when we suppress it and build it up, it's this physical force in us. So when you pace and you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna take my dude, I'm gonna get it out. That's why I hiked, and it was so good. Sometimes I would see neighbors that know me and I'm like, oops, oh well. I'd be like, God damn, I'm out there and I'm tapping and I'm like, oh hey, how's it going? But I cannot tell you how much it has set me free. And I notice I still use it. I don't need to use it as much as I used to. I swear to God, I felt like I used it 24/7 for a while, because I had so much suppressed rage and anger in me from all the years in Catholic school and being suppressed, and my upbringing, and oh, that's right, I'm supposed to be appropriate. And the whole thing about, I'm supposed to take the high road, I'm supposed to be all spiritual, I'm supposed to be all forgiving. Why in the heck were we instilled with all these amazing emotions if we were not meant to feel them? And if you feel them in a safe and healthy way, that's why I say, if you're dealing with somebody who their tactic is best defense is an offense, you start to get angry and they're going to get angrier back at you. So you're really never allowed your anger with them. That's where you can empower yourself. And in the privacy, if it's like, I'm going for a walk, I'm going for a hike, I'm going for a drive, I'm going in the other room, and just let yourself have it. I cannot tell you how liberating it is. And I say, speak the, like, whatever feels like the darkest truth. When I was doing that rant tapping on my parents, like, I cannot tell you the F-bombs I was dropping. I'm like, God, I freaking hate you. And I finally was like, God, you're the worst. Oh, like that. And I was just like, God, what a relief to feel it. What a freaking relief. And so try that. Thank you so much. Perfect timing. I was feeling super angry last night. That's so awesome. Julie was laughing during some of it. I know. That is the beauty of it. Choked with it. Comes out like a volcano. So running away. So some of you, maybe you guys haven't heard this story. Hopefully this will make you laugh. So when I was in that phase of doing all this rant tapping, so I was still in corporate America, and we had this storage shed, and I had to go in there and pick out these table lights, and they get sent, and I cannot stand styrofoam peanuts. Like, I can't stand them. I think they're like the bane of humanity. And so you open them up and they stick to everything, and they were sticking, they're flying all over the place, and they're sticking to my jacket, and I think I'm calm and peaceful. And all of a sudden, I'm trying to get these lamps out, and I'm just like, like that. And I'm trying to brush the styrofoam peanuts off my jacket. I'm like that. Like, I was like a crazy woman. And I'm like, oh God, that's right. They got freaking video cameras, security cameras all over the place. And I had this image of the security guard, and they're like, check this out. Look at the freak at, storage unit 14A. And all of a sudden I was like, oh man, I've got some anger that's starting to surface. So then when I got out of there, I was able to let myself rant tap. But that's how you know it. And I tell you, I started to find that funny. Like, even that, I was like, holy shit. It was funny to me at that time. And first, when you're doing it, can feel so potent and so powerful, but just give yourself the space for that. And then like that, like Juliet, sometimes you'll find you just start to laugh. And honestly, when I was doing that rant tapping with my parents, at the end of it, I was rant tapping so much, I started to laugh. Like, I started about, I just had a call, so saying all this stuff to people. So like about my parents, oh yeah, you think my sister's retarded, well, you guys are retarded. And then I just started to laugh. So I'm coming on at the tail end of this, but pretty clear I'm going to watch the replay. Oh yes, absolutely, Barbara. So that's it, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. And Lena, great topic. One of my all-time freaking favorites. So take care. Bye for now. Hope you found that helpful.